Good morning, everyone. I'm Nancy Hetker in Melbourne, Australia. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm going to share with you a layout that I think is going to be very useful and something I come back to again and again, so I thought you guys might find it useful as well. I found it online from a demonstrator from British Columbia, Canada, named Yvonne Simmons. And she did it with the Beautiful Autumn Designer Series paper. And I played around with it yesterday. She has it, of course, in letter inches measurements. So I did some yesterday, and I got it. This one, the strips are too narrow, but I redid my math last night and figured out how to do it so that they fit our A4 size better. And it's called a barn door card because it actually goes like that. So, like I said, I think that's a fun fold and it's going to be useful for a bunch of things. So I'm going to make up one or two more with different papers today. And I thought I would start with some of the Boho Indigo because I have a bunch of strips that I cut off from making some other cards. And this is the perfect thing, like I said, to use up such things. So let me start with the card base. Bring in my trimmer. And it starts with a regular card base. So I'm scoring at 14.9, and then I'm cutting it in half at 10.5. I will have measurements for both letter and A4 on my blog post tomorrow, but I'm showing people this one today. And then to make that barn door, it's actually very easy. On the score line, in metric, you cut down 5 centimeters. And if you don't have the add-on arm to be able to cut metric, this is one of those times when it's really useful. So you cut down 5 centimeters and then you line this up at 5 centimeters and cut down to that score mark. And in inches, it's 2 inches. So that's super easy. And you can feel when you get there. And so then you cut that off. And voila, you have your barn door fold. So then we need the mat, which is also 5 centimeters, because the flap that's left on to make the barn door is like 5.5 centimeters, right? Because it was 10.5 wide, and 14.4, which that is. And then we need one other mat piece that is 10. By 14.4. There we go. And then our Designer Series paper, and really any of these work. There's no I don't think there's a wrong move in the bunch. So we'll just take those 3. And depending on your cutting skills and the sharpness of your blade. So these get cut at 4.3 or 1.5 if you're in inches, but 4.3, 1, 2, 3. And then the top section is 6 centimeters. And the bottom section is 4.5 centimeters. So there are those pieces cut. And then this one I didn't translate into centimeters yet, but I'll try. 3 1/4 by 1 1/4. This is the mat. It's going to go under the sentiment. 1 1/4. And that just gets cut from that flap we cut off for the barn door. And then we're going to stamp on a scrap of Very Vanilla, our sentiment. And I think for this one, I'm going to use this Happy Birthday to You that comes out of Best Year. Again, I use a lot of birthday cards. We'll do that in Night of Navy. This one is really just Night of Navy and Very Vanilla card. The original one had a bunch of colors to pull from, but this one it's just the two, and that's fine. We will go with that. I'm gonna clean my stamp, otherwise I wind up dropping something on it. And I'm going to cut this out with a framelit, and I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. And I'm actually going to go ahead and punch this is the, what's it called? Label Me Fancy punch. And I'm just really eyeballing it. I'm getting the edge to, you see this slot here? I'm getting the edge of the cardstock right to the edge of where it would show through there. I don't want it to cut through. And then I'm eyeballing it to make sure, to get it as straight as I can and as centered top to bottom as I can. It doesn't come out perfectly, but it'll be good for this purpose. Okay, so now we're going to do some assembly. And let's figure out how we want to lay it out. Again, I'm not sure it really matters much. I might put that slightly lighter one in the middle. And my glue. Hey, Nikki, glad you could join us. So I love working on my grid paper because it really helps me, my eyes line things up. I can visualize, you know, these are grids in 1/2 centimeter, so I can visualize that on my paper. My eyes work with all these straight lines. So if you haven't been working on grid paper, I highly recommend it. And I'm doing the outside ones first because they're easier. to line up with edges. And then it's easy to center that one in between them. If you're just tuning in, feel free to say hello so I know you're here. I am working on making a very simple fun fold card that, like I said, is going to be a go-to, I think, especially as I get to using up, oh, look at that, bits and pieces of designer series paper. So there we go. That went out of alignment, but then it popped right back in. And again, I think it's easy to, if I do the top ones, then it's pretty easy to do the alignment on the bottom ones. But I will stick with my doing the two outer ones first and then aligning the middle one. And these are not quite square, at least in the centimeter format, so just pay attention that you don't get things rotated around. There, did the same thing, just slid a little bit. Okay, so there are those two layers. Now we can start putting stuff together. You guys all ready for Christmas if you're celebrating? I have not baked a single thing. Okay, so for this, you can see on this one, we've got these layers on the tag and the ribbon. So we're going to do the same sort of thing here. And from this Boho Indigo kit, I have this pretty ribbon, but I think I'm also going to put in some of the gold. So I don't need quite that much, I don't think. Go. And that's what these slots were punched for. So that goes right through there. And let's get them both through there. Okay, and I'm going to use some tear and tape here to help secure some things. Wrapping and yeah, I got the wrapping for Nicole's things done the other night. So that's good. So I'm just going to do a bit of tear and tape on some of these layers here. So we're going to start with getting the He's kind of centered there. And see if that's sticking out enough to kind of hold that in place. Yeah. Be some. Goodness. Okay, now a little more tear and tape on the back of that blue ribbon to hold it in place. On the mat. Go. Yeah, some of them I've popped them up. This one apparently I'm not going to, which is fine. And then you can use tear and tape or glue. Right on there. And then my favorite, double sticky tape. Hey, Renata. Good to see you. And now this one's going to go on here. We had a session with Noah's trainer yesterday, the last one before Christmas, obviously, and they're off into January. And he learned to go up and down stairs. We used our fire stairs here in the building. There. So there's two of them. See, just a little bit of space to write a note. You could cut these a bit shorter if you wanted more space. Instead of 6, they could be 5.5 centimeters. Okay, how about we do one more? This one, I think what I'm going to do is use some of this really pretty, what's it called? Flower and Field paper. This is free in Celebration, starting in January to the end of February. And with a purchase here in Australia of $90 or more, you can choose this. There's the 6 designs on one side, and then the other side, as usual, is a little more subtle, or what do we call it? It's not that it's not with the theme, but this one is all flower, 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 and the other one is more just patterns. So I thought maybe these 3 that I put on top would be good. So I'm going to bring my trimmer back in. And what did I say? 5.3. So this isn't using up the end, this is cutting into the beginning. So 4.123, 4.3 down there. And let's see what happens if we do like 5.5 instead of 6. See how that does for writing space. 5.5 and 4.5. There are those. We'll cut our base. Starting with scoring it in half and cutting it vertically at 10.5. And then at 5, cut it down to the score line. And then on the score line, cutting it down 5. There we go. There's that. We'll cut our mat. Straight. Mostly. And let's see, we need okay. 14.4 by 10. Let's do it this way. By 5. There we go. Okay. Let's see how we're doing here. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. So there's 1, 2, 3. One, two, 3. Let's do some gluing, shall we? How is life in Phoenix, Karen? Again, my grid paper is helping me, really, it's helping me do a good eyeball. Get this lined up where I want it. Oh my goodness. Really? I Did better on the first one, didn't I? Okay. Yeah, that's how everyone's feeling, right? It's as good as it could be. Here in Australia, there's big furor because we had an outbreak in New South Wales that has caused all the other states to either close the border or ban travelers or put them into quarantine if they come from at least parts, if not all, of New South Wales. So that's got people's Christmas plans all messed up again, which doesn't make people happy, of course. Yeah. So there's lots of furor over that. But doesn't directly affect me. It did affect one of my Aussie customers here. She was going to go visit her grandmother in Sydney, and I canceled that because that was going to mean that they either couldn't come back, depending on what Victoria decided to do, or they would have to quarantine for 2 weeks at their own expense, which is $3,000 in a hotel. And they didn't want to do that. So they're putting off seeing grandma, which I think is a smart move. I'm just trying to figure out which colors to use. And I think I'm going to go with real red and granny apple green. And I think maybe I'm going to do it all with markers, see how that goes. Because I want to use 2 colors here. So I'm going to use granny apple green on the 2U. If you don't know about this, this is a great thing. Our Stampin' Write markers, not the Stampin' Blends, the alcohol ink markers, but these Stampin' Write markers that are water-based ink, just like our ink pads, are the way to go. And you can just color on whatever colors you want. If you want multicolor stamps. There's other ways to do that too, but that's the easiest when it's a small thing like this. And I just huffed on it to make sure it was nice and moist. And we'll stamp that and see how it comes out. Yeah, pretty good. I got a little bit of red on my green. I'm gonna try one more time. See if I can avoid doing that this time. Maybe we'll start with the red this time. See if we can avoid getting green on the red. And let's get some, just go a little more slowly and carefully. How's that? Okay, see how that goes. Yep, that's good. Okay. I'm going to cut this out and I will be right back. Go and do this punch thing again. And I think we use the red ribbon. So we'll work on this here. See how we do with a glue dot this time. I'm going to do dimensionals once I find them. Swear they were right here. Go. I'm going to wrap that around there. I usually do sticky tape, but I'm showing you an alternative now. There we go with the glue dot. And the glue dot. So that's going to go on the front here. And this is going to go on the inside. You like the way I did the ribbon? Thanks. Like I cased this entire layout from Yvonne Simmons, a demonstrator in British Columbia, and that's how she'd done her ribbon. And I thought that's pretty cool. So I bought the punch, which I'd been eyeing anyway, but that I finally pulled the trigger on it. Goes on there. Yeah, I'm happy with how that one came out too. Now they said that this red in here was Poppy Parade, But I used Real Red because that's the color ribbon I had. They also said Petal Pink, which could have worked. And Bumblebee was the other option I pulled out. But I decided to try the Real Red. So I've got another bit of the strips there. I may do a second one out of this. I probably will do a second one out of this and try a different ribbon color. But that's what I've got for you today. Like I said, this is going to be a go-to, I think, because it's pretty quick and easy, and it packs a punch, I think. And this is with the shorter. I got this one lower than these other two, but that's with the shorter strip on the inside. So this is the one that's cased from Yvonne. Actually, she did that sentiment with that ribbon and with those layers. But like I said, I had my strips narrower and I figured out how to make them wider, so I think it looks better like that. I did 2 of those, and then this one I just did for you, and this one. So they all open up like that. And there you go. So I hope you like that. I think my plan is to be back here again next week, same time, same place, in between the holidays. So I hope you will find time in your holiday schedule to join me. I figure if there's any year that people would be around and looking for something to do, it might be this one. So have a great week. Have a great holiday if you're celebrating, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.